In the last video for this chapter, we've got a new drawing for you. It's called ground floor plan underscore rev4.dwg. If you download it from the library, as usual, to follow along with this particular video. Now you'll recognize the floor plan. It's the big office layout that we've used in previous chapters, and we're going to take a look at some of the annotation tools that are available and some of the little quirks of the annotation in AutoCAD as well, just in case you come across this particular incident when you're trying to place text annotation in a drawing. Now, we're in the ground floor plan in the model tab, and we're going to zoom in on this little room here with the little circular table and 4 chairs. Zoom in and pan and zoom to get it in the center. And you'll notice the room number is EL4. Now, before we do anything else, go to your layers panel on the home tab on the ribbon, layer drop down. Just make sure you're using the A010H room layer. Like so. That's the text layer for the room numbering in this particular drawing. Now you'll see here we have a rectangle. Now you'll notice it's a block reference. Now what we're going to do, we're going to explode that into its original lines first of all. So what we're going to do, we're going to select it and we're going to go up here to modify and click on explode. Now you'll notice it doesn't look any different, but it is now just a group of lines, you'll see. And it was a block brought in to obviously house a room number, like the EL4 there. Now, the reason I've done that is it makes our life easier later on when we're playing around with some of the text settings. Now, we're on the right layer. We're zoomed into the right area of the drawing. We need to go to the annotation flyout, and we're going to make sure that we're using the appropriate text style. Click on the flyout and just make sure that it is the Arial text style. You might notice that it might be on something like title layout 10mm. So click on the flyout. If it says title layout 10mm, just click. It needs to be Arial, like so. And that will give us an Arial font when we place the text in our drawing. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to align the text in this box so that instead of the text EL4 being horizontal, it'll be vertical in this box here. So we go to the annotation panel, click on the flyout and select single line text. Come into the drawing area, right click and select justify. Now we're going to use the align tool like so. So when you click on align, it will say first endpoint of text baseline. Using your object snaps, snap to the endpoint snap there, left click. Up to the endpoint snap there, left click. Now, as soon as you do that, you will see a tiny little cursor flashing there like so. Now, what you'll find is as you start typing EL4, it'll look really big, like so, with a flashing cursor. Press enter once, and then enter again, and you'll see the EL4 is then placed vertically in the little box there. Here's the problem though, the text doesn't fit in the box. How do we fix that? Well, normally you'd select the text like that, right click, go to properties, and you'd go to the text height here, which is 367.87. Click in the box and just make sure your cursor's in there. Get rid of that, type in 150 as the height for the text, press enter, and nothing changes. Okay. What's happened there then? So this is where you might have an issue when you're using that align tool for the justification of single line text. It hasn't just aligned it orientation wise vertically, it's aligned the text height based on the length from each point that you selected to align the text in the first place. So you can't get away with that. You can't change the height of that aligned text. So close the properties palette by clicking on the cross. The text is still selected. We'll right click and we'll erase that aligned text. Now, one of the things that's really nice about AutoCAD is there's normally another way of doing something. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do it a different way using object snaps and object snap tracking. It's much, much easier. Now, what we need to do is go back to our single line text. So fly out there, single line text. Come into the drawing area, right click and justify. We're going to go for middle center, MC. Now it wants the middle point of the text, okay? So the middle point of the text, we hover over the midpoint snap there, like so. We hover over the midpoint snap there, like so. Object snap tracking will kick in when they intersect. Left click. Now, we've got the point of the middle center of the text. Move away a little bit. It's asking for the rotation angle of the text. Now, we don't want it horizontal like the EL4 that we can see. So we type in 90 to rotate it through 90 degrees. We then press enter and you'll see a little flashing cursor there. Can you see it in the middle? So you type your EL4. Now the text is very small. Press enter once, press enter twice. It's even smaller when you close out the single line text command, pressing enter for the second time. So zoom in on that tiny little bit of text. Can you see it there? It is vertical, which is great. Select it, right click, properties. Change the text height there. 4.5 is not what we want. We want 150. Press enter. You see the text obviously gets bigger. Close the properties palette by clicking on the cross. Zoom out and EL4 now sits really nicely there in the center of that box. Hit escape a couple of times to deselect the text. And you can see there that we've now placed that text effectively in that little box there. And it looks the same as the EL5 up there. Now, what you've got to realize there is with AutoCAD, there's always more than one way of doing something. Sometimes you might hit a brick wall and you'll think, why is it not doing it the way I want it to do it? Think out of the box, if you'll pardon the pun, and try and find a different methodology. There's always a way of getting around it and making it look the way you want it to look. And that's one of those methodologies that I've just shown you there.